When you have everything drawn, all of your details are finished, and you're ready to make the second portrait, the mirror image, just make sure that you have gone over all of your lines and that all of the lines are really, really dark and you have a lot of pencil on them. So if you're looking at your portrait and something is light and doesn't have a lot of pencil lead on there, darken it up, go back over it, because the next step requires us to rub the pencil from this side onto this side, and it is just not going to work if you've drawn lightly. So just take a minute, look at it, go over anything that looks like it's not super dark. In order for this to work, we're going to have to reverse this fold. Okay, up till now, we were working on it like this. So we're going to have to reverse this fold now. So I'm going to open it up and I'm going to just fold it up like that. So now I can see what I drew through here. I'll try to hold it up to the camera. Can you see that through there? You should be able to see yours. If you can't see it, it means you should open it up and darken up your lines. So once you have your lines dark enough so that you can see it, we want to make it so that this image comes out in reverse on the bottom. So here's how to do that. I'm just going to take a marker and I'm going to just rub right where I see the pencil lines. There's no need to rub where there's no pencil line. Okay, you want to rub right where there's a pencil line. And you want to go in the direction that your marker is pointing. So I'm holding it like this, or you don't have to use just a marker. You can also use like the edge of scissors. That would work also if you're working from home. In class, I'm going to give my students markers, but work in the direction of the marker. So my finger is pointing up, so that's the way I want to go. I don't want to go side to side. I want to put my finger on the marker so I can get nice pressure, and I want to go in the direction that my finger is pointing. My finger is pointing that way. That's the way I want to go. So I'm going to, everywhere I see pencil, I'm going to rub over it. Feel free to move this so you can go up. So I always want to go in the direction my finger's pointing. I can go side to side, but I have to turn my hand and go this way. So always, if my finger's pointing this way, that's the way my marker should be going so that I'm rubbing it off correctly. You do not want to do this. My finger is not pointing side to side, so you should not be going side to side. You also should not put it down like this and just rub it off like this. Every year I have someone who tries to do that, and then they're frustrated because it's not working. You can't get enough pressure like that. It's just not going to work. Put your finger on the marker like this, and then rub it in the direction that your finger is pointing. You should be able to see right through to see where the pencil is. But what you can't see is what's actually rubbed off. So if you open it up, see how this is working now? I'm rubbing the pencil from here onto here. So from time to time, open it up and see what you need to go over more. I know I need to go over this side more, maybe even a little bit more on the face. So you want to make sure that you go over it really, really well so you're not guessing as to what you need to trace. You're actually tracing, again, what is there exactly as you had it on the top. This requires some time, so don't try to rush this step. I'm going right over my lines that I see. If you go right over your lines, it's going to work. Okay, see how that's coming out really nicely because I'm going right over my lines. So you're going to take some time to do that. Once you have it completely done, now I'm not ready yet, but just for time's sake on the video, once you're completely done and you can see what to trace, you're going to take your pencil and you're just going to trace it. And you can kind of look down here too to kind of see what you're supposed to do. But again, don't guess. All right, make sure that you have a line to go by. And I know I made this like this. I have a queen, so I have eyelashes to go over. All right, I have the other side. Eyelid, eyebrow. So just take the time to go over what you see. It should be a mirror image, the exact opposite of what you have down below. And then I'll show you the next step after we get this mirror image all finished. This one is almost finished. As you can see, whenever you're transferring, you should have it transferred so well that you almost don't even have to go over it with pencil. But I am just going to finish going over mine here. Just only have the hat to finish, so just quickly go over that. All right, almost done. Now in real playing cards, they have a very bold black outline. So we are going to do that also on our outfit. So just to show you here, see how the outline of the face, the outline of the hair, the outfit, everything has a big bold black outline. So if you have it, you're going to be making the outline in marker. If you're working from home and you don't have a marker, you can just go over it really dark with pencil or crayon or whatever materials you have. In class, I'll supply you with a Sharpie or a black Crayola marker, and we can use that. I just happen to have a black Sharpie here. I don't have a black Crayola marker, so I'll use that. When we're working in Sharpie, we want to make sure that we have something underneath. So if you don't have anything underneath there yet, you're going to put something under it so that we don't get the Sharpie all over the table. If we're working with Crayola markers, they do not bleed through, so you won't have to worry about that. But if we are using Sharpies, you want to make sure that you have something underneath. And now I'm going to trace every pencil line. Okay, that's all you have to do. Every line that you made, you will trace with marker. Most of the lines you can trace with a nice bold Sharpie or Crayola marker. But if we have really small things like the eyes here, I would probably lose the detail if I use something like this. So I'm going to use a smaller tipped Sharpie for that. This one happens to have both tips on it. Sometimes I have two separate tips for that. Don't try to trace everything in the small tip. You should not trace like all of the hair and the outfit and everything with a small tip. That's not going to show up enough. But definitely I would use the smaller tip for things like the eyes, the eyelashes, maybe the eyebrows, because we don't want it to be one big blob. We want to be able to tell what we drew. So see how I'm very, very carefully going over what I drew? All of the details that we drew in pencil, we can trace over with black now so that they show up. So I would say probably, you know, all of the facial details that we have, you want to use this smaller Sharpie. When you're tracing, be careful. We didn't draw like a big circle for the nose when we drew it. Don't do it now when you're tracing it. So certainly don't do that. Just keep it like a very, very light line for this. Go over the mouth. Once you have all the features traced in your thin marker, then you can go back again to the thicker marker and you can go over the rest of it with a nice bold thick line, because that's what really makes everything show up. So typically the only thing that I do in the really thin Sharpie is the face. Now sometimes if you have really, really tiny, tiny details drawn in the outfit, you might want to switch to a smaller marker for that. But for like the lines in the hair, for the outfit, all of that, I like to go over that with my nice bold, thick black marker. And again, it does not have to be a Sharpie. If you're working from home, you could be doing this in a black colored pencil, or just going over it in your regular pencil really dark, or using crayons. Certainly though, if you're using crayons at home, I wouldn't try to go over the face with crayons. I would leave that as pencil, something that can give you a really thin line. Sometimes people have colored pencils. You might have a black colored pencil, that would work just fine. Now we not only want to do one side, once we do that, just double check to make sure you have everything. Once you do that side, you want to flip it over and you want to do the same thing on the other side. So both sides are traced in your black marker. Whatever you traced in thick bold marker here, you want to trace in thick bold marker here. Whatever you traced in the thinner marker on the one side, you want to trace with your thinner marker on the other side, so that this is as perfectly symmetrical as we can get it. So I'm going to give you some time, take some time to do that, and then I will show you how to add the extra details to make it look like a card. Alright, on this one now I have everything traced on the top and the bottom in my black marker. I just want to take a couple of minutes now with my eraser and just clean it up, because from leaning on it, I have smeared some of the pencil, and if you missed some of the pencil with the marker, then you want to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. So just take some time, take your eraser and just clean it up so that you don't see any of your pencil lines anymore. So I'm just doing that. Be careful not to wrinkle your paper, right? Don't press so hard that you're wrinkling it all up. But do look for any stray pencil marks or little smudges from your hand. See how I get it on here sometimes, and that smudges out here. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes, just clean up my portrait. Don't forget about the bottom. Don't just do one side, do the top, do the bottom, do anything out here. Once I've had a chance to do that, we also want to add the heart or club or spade or diamond. So I have those here. So you want to pick what suit you're going to be using, and we're going to put that right beside the portrait on both sides. But this one faces up like the king here, and then this is upside down. So let me show you how to do that. So obviously you have to pick the suit first, and then you're going to go ahead and do that. I like to make kind of a little guideline first, no matter what I'm trying to do. So like, for instance, if it's a diamond, I like to make a straight line first. I'm going to make this darker. You don't have to make it quite this dark, but I'm going to make it darker so you can see it on the video. And then for a diamond, I like to go across like this. So it's kind of like a skinny plus sign. And then I have a guideline as to how I want to make my diamond. All right, so once I have my diamond, I can erase this out. So that's just one way to do that. You can do that with guidelines, whatever you're making. So when you do it on this one, it's going to be on the opposite side. So what I like to do is I have it on the left here, and then if I flip this upside down and I do it on the left again, it's going to be opposite. So once again, I'm going to make this light this time, and then make my diamond like that, and then erase that out. I just think it's easier to do that when you have guidelines. That way you just get it a lot more symmetrical and straight. And then once you have your suit, again, you're going to take your black marker and you're going to trace over it, okay, on the top and on the bottom, like that. Now, if you're doing a heart, I still like to do it no matter what suit I'm doing. If I'm making a heart, I like to make a straight line. Again, do yours lightly. And then when I make the heart, I can use this as a center line, so I can kind of tell better what I'm doing. So I'm going to make half my heart. And then I'm going to try to make this half look just like this half. And by having this line here, I think it really does help. All right. Now, if you got way off, like say I did this, you can tell right away that that doesn't look right. So you can add on to it until you get it to where it looks pretty good. And then you can erase any mistakes that you made, and you can erase this middle line. Now, obviously, you want to make that middle line as light as possible so that when you go to erase it, you can erase it. If you do it super dark, like I did mine really dark for the video, and it's still showing up. But of course, we're going to be coloring that in. It'll either be red or black anyway, so that'll get covered up. But if you draw lightly, it just saves you the trouble of trying to get it erased. If I'm doing a spade, what I do it the same way as the heart actually. But when I do the spade, all right, instead of doing, and I want to make it just a little bit smaller than I want the spade to actually end up. So if I'm doing a spade, I'm going to make the line, and then I'm going to turn it upside down. And I'm going to put this right like that. I'm going to make a heart, just like I showed you a minute ago. Fix up any part that you messed up on. And then I'm going to turn it back over, and I'm going to make the bottom of the spade. Like that. And I just think that helps you with the spade a lot more than just trying to draw the spade. And then of course I'll erase that out, and I have a spade. And you can do any final adjusting then at this point. If you're doing a club, I still like to do that for a club. So I'm going to draw my line first, so I have a guideline to go by. And when I do my club, I'm going to make this part. And I want to make the other side look pretty much the same. Oops, I have a little line in my table. It's messing me up. And then this part of the club. So it's kind of, a club is kind of like 3 circles put together, and then like the spade, it has a bottom to it. So I'm basically making 3 circles, and then I'll erase that out, and I can erase out here and here, and then I can just go over, when I go over in my marker, I'm not going over all that stuff in the middle, the whole circle. I'm just going over part of the circles. Like that. Okay, and same thing with the spade. So if you're having trouble making hearts, making clubs, making spades, making diamonds, try it the way I showed you. Try making a line first and then a heart. Try making a line and upside down heart and then adding the base. And then try making a line and 3 circles touching the line, and then erase that out and then putting the base on. I think that'll help you. So the idea again is to put one here and one here opposite. If you're doing a joker, you really don't have to even put that in if you don't want to, or maybe you want to put all of them in. Maybe you want to put different suits on each side, like hearts and diamonds and spades and clubs, because a joker really represents all of them. So probably if I was doing a joker, that's what I would do. I'd probably do all of them and do them in all 4 corners. To make it really look like a card, we also want to add a thick black line around the outside, and the easiest way to do this is to actually use a black paper on a larger white paper. So I'm going to give you a black paper, and you're going to take the black paper and put the glue, not on the white paper, but you're going to put the glue all along the black paper, turn it over, and make sure that it's on there very secure. And make sure there's an even border all the way around the outside. If it's not even, it's not going to look right. You want your card to look like a card, and cards have a nice even border all the way around. So you can see that I've done that here. This thin line here is not marker, it is actually the black paper. Now I have the card that I've been working on, and of course you would be using some markers to finish coloring this, but at any point I could glue this on now and then color it after it's on there, or I could color it first, and then when it's all done, then I could put it on here. But when it's time to put this onto this, what I want to do is I want to turn this over, and again, I want to put the glue on the back of my artwork, not on the black paper, but on the back of my artwork, and then put an X. Don't smear it with glue, just all around the outside, and then a big X, and then I'll turn it over. And the important part here is I want to put it down so there's an even amount all the way around as much as possible. Now on this one, there's a little bit more at the top and bottom, but it's pretty close. And the even amount is on the sides here. So you don't want it like this where you can't see any black on one side. So, and you don't want it like that, crooked. You want to try to get it as good as you can get it, and then you're going to press it down so that it has a nice border. If you are working at home and you do not have this black border, then you can just find a bigger paper and you can draw your black border around and then color it in. So I could have used a marker or a crayon, and it'd probably be best if you use something as a straight edge, an envelope, or even a ruler if you have it, and you know, put that down, draw your line, and then color. All right, so if you're working from home, you may have to draw in that, or if you have a black paper, if you can get a hold of a black construction paper at home, cut it just a little bit larger than your picture and glue your picture down to it. So in class, I have a larger paper and then black paper that we will be doing that. So this will be down like that. You'll also notice that I have the lettering in the corners here and here, as well as the suit. Again, you can do this either before you glue this down, or you could do it after you glue it down. I did mine before I glued it down, and that way, if I mess this up, then it's easier to replace this than it is to do that once this is glued on. So that's just why I did it this way. But you're going to make a block or bubble letter in the corners, and then you're going to make the suit underneath. So I'm going to just take some time now and review how to do block or bubble letters, because that might help you out. I always get questions on, well, how do I make a K in block letters? I don't know how to do that. J's are not too bad, but typically the K's and the Q's, people get upset because they don't know how to do it. So I'm going to take a minute and show you how to do that. I'm just going to use the same scratch paper that I used to show you how to make those other shapes, and I'll show you how to make block or bubble letters. So I'm just going to fold this over so that I get a clean area here to work on that you can see. And basically what I'm trying to do is I'm making a block letter K. So once you have the black paper down on the white paper, whether or not you have your portrait on there, it doesn't matter, but as long as you have your black paper on there, in the corner you're going to write whether it's a king, queen, jack, or joker. So if it's a king, first I'm going to just make just a regular K, a capital letter K in pencil, just like that. If it's a queen, I would write a Q, and if it's a jack or a joker, I'm going to just make a J like that. Once you have those letters, all you have to do is just trace all the way around the line that you made, and then erase that out. This works for any letter, any letter. All right, and then you have your block letter. For the Q, it's kind of easy with the Q because you really only have to trace the inside and then that part of the Q. Now you either want this, you can either make it look like that goes behind the Q, or typically we go through the part that looks like an O and then erase out the middle. So this little part looks like it's coming over like that. Okay, either way you want to do it, it's fine. And then the J, again, you can just make that double, however you want to do that. All right, and that's just the way to make the king, queen, and jack or joker. If you'd like, you could make the whole word joker go down the side, and then you could flip it around and put joker down the other side if you want. If you look at real playing cards, that's typically what they do. They typically spell out the whole word joker. But again, every letter in the word joker you can do the same way. Once you're all finished drawing all of your letters and you've traced everything and you've colored everything, your portrait playing card is complete. I hope you've learned a lot about portraiture, the placement of the features, how to make a mirror image, a symmetrical image, and had a lot of fun doing it.